What I thought the word Titan in the Greek is the Greek word for a Chaldean word called shaitan, which is the Chaldean word for a Hebrew word called Satan. So there's a link, if you will, between these strange mythologies and what the Bible records as having happened. Now, in Genesis 6, by the way, let me highlight something else for you. In verse 9, it introduces Noah. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Verse 9, these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his teteladoth, his generations, his genealogy. And Noah walked with God. What verse 9 suggests is that one of the several attributes of Noah was that his genealogy was not corrupted by the events of the earlier half a dozen verses. So one of the reasons God chose to bring the flood was to erase the satanic plot to corrupt the line of man. God had a plan for the redemption of man. He had that in mind long before Adam sinned. God was not surprised that Adam blew it, but God had already conceived the plan of redemption. And God's plan of redemption required a kinsman redeemer. And part of Satan's plot to prevent the redemption of man was to corrupt the seed of man so there could not be a kinsman redeemer. But God interfered. That's one reason perhaps out of perhaps over 1 billion people on the earth, only 8 were saved in the ark. Whole study of Genesis. If you want to get more into this, you can get the Flood of Noah tapes and or whatever and study into it. But I want you to put that in the back of your mind when you start talking about the things like Mars and this extraterrestrial stuff, which is going to be coming in spades in coming months for lots of reasons. Now, why am I making such a big thing of this? Because Jesus Christ told you something. He said, as the days of Noah were, so shall the days of the coming of the Son of Man be. No kidding. For you to understand the times we're heading into, it's useful to understand what Jesus meant when he said the days of Noah. So one of the things I commit you to do is do a study of Genesis 6. There's also, in Genesis 6, verse 4, it says there were giants in the earth in those days. Then a very disturbing phrase. And also after that. What does that mean? That's referring to at least to the Anakim. We find that in Numbers 13, verse 33. We also find the bedstead of one of them was 13 feet long, Deuteronomy 3:11. The men of Israel, the spies, when they spied out Israel after Kadesh Barnea, they said, we are as grasshoppers in their sight, in Numbers 13 and Amos 2:9 and so forth. The Nephilim. One of them, the sons of Anak, was a guy that you all learned about in Sunday school, a guy by the name of Goliath. Tall dude. And you all know the story about this young kid, David, right? He's going to face off to this guy. And he drops the armor and all that stuff. That doesn't work. He takes his shepherd's sling, stops by the brook, picks up 5 stones, puts it in his pocket. You all know the story. He confronts the giant of Gath, son of Anak. And, of course, the first stone hits him between the eyes. And David runs up there, takes Goliath's own sword, and cuts off his head, right? You all know the story. And one of the fun questions you ask your biblically oriented friends, if David's faith was so great, why did he pick up 5 stones? One was enough. And the answer from 2 Samuel 17 is that Goliath had 4 brothers. And does that give you an insight into the character of David? He was ready for all 5. That's a fun piece of information because you'll discover many students of the Bible haven't been sensitive to that, so you can have some fun. But okay, let's leave all the Anakim, of course. That's one reason you wonder why God told Joshua and the people to wipe out every man, woman, and child in the land. Sounds brutal, sounds heartless, doesn't sound like the God we know, does it? He had his reasons because of the Anakim and the rest. So you can do that study on your own. Well, and by the way, those of you that may say, gee, I don't understand this about angels and so forth, let me call your attention to the fact that in Jude and 2 Peter, these things are referred to. The angels who went after strange flesh, the angels that are chained in darkness, the apostate angels. When you study the fall of Lucifer, as we did in Isaiah 14, you know that a third of the angels fell with him. Some of them, the ones that apparently were involved in Genesis 6, are in chains of darkness, apparently going to be released in Revelation 9. Don't want to be around then. Never met a demon I liked.